The title of the album is Get Ready. So it could mean anything or nothing. I thought it was just nice, New Order, get ready, because we're getting ready for the next phase of our musical lives, both physically and mentally. So it's quite a simple thing, but it's very pertinent.
Almost feels like you're starting again, and in a way you are starting again, and it just feels really fresh because of that. And because it's fresh, you kind of, I don't know, it's just exciting, really, more exciting. You don't feel like, oh, I've done this for the past 10 years, I've been doing it for the past 10 years, I've got to do it again, another album, another tour, another set of interviews. It just seems, although we have been doing stuff with our solo projects, it's not been the same as New Order.
We've had nothing but positive from the record company, from the people that we've come back to, the New Order side of things and everything, and the people that we've been working with, the producers, the programmers and stuff. They've been really, really positive and like really happy that New Order, are back together again. It certainly has, I think, shown in our music that there's been a very positive approach to it. It's felt, the whole thing, when I listen to it, it's unusual to get that tingly feeling you got when you did like Unknown Pleasures or something. You're thinking, my God.
It feels very clean, and it feels like the blackboard, the slate's been wiped clean, and we can go ahead without any baggage, any of the baggage that was dragging us down, that we'd accumulated over the years. I feel very positive about this record. Not something I've been relishing, actually. No, it's not the most fun part of our job, but it's just something you got to do, really, innit? You've put all this work in making what you hope is a great album, and you'd be shooting yourself in the foot if you didn't go out there and tell people about it. I don't like doing it, but you've got to do it.
Yeah, but I think there's a sort of freshness to it because of what because you've come together after such a long time, and the fact that you have enjoyed doing it. It seems to make it a little bit more bearable. I mean, the thing about as you've got older, you certainly still enjoy the musical side of it just as much, but you'd, like Bernard just said, you don't enjoy the dragging yourself around talking endlessly. But I mean, the thing is that, again, just to reiterate what he said, that if you don't do it, you'd be an absolute fool. I mean, and it's one of those things that I think we're all, now, because you're sort of pulling together, as opposed to pulling apart, then you're all going in one direction, so you tend to look after each other more. I think that's the feeling, whereas in the past we were always a little bit disparate. So it's got, for me personally, it's got a much nicer feeling to it this time, and I am actually looking forward to talking about it and being together. It's one of those things. So it's not too bad at the moment, let's put it that way.
Working with other people, you've found out different ways of doing things and different attitudes, different ways of making music, and then that's freshened up your internal battery by working with other people and listen to different sounds, different influences, and then now you come back in New Order and you sort of resource store of ideas has been increased, not decreased.
It's like working with a producer, which was one thing I wasn't actually looking forward to, but I enjoyed it more than I ever thought I ever would. And maybe that's something I should have done a long time ago. So coming back to New Order, again, has taught me something about what I'm going to do afterwards, which is nice. So I suppose it isn't like a way of reinventing yourself or redoing it. It's like learning something you're still learning. And I suppose it's a nice thing to know that you can be humble enough to learn, and admit it when you're wrong. But so you're still learning, so it doesn't feel like a relaunch or anything. It's like you're still adding to your arsenal, if you like.
I don't think so. No, we don't. I don't think there'll be any more over 2 records. It was, we had fun doing it.
Yeah, it's still going, but we've not really got any plans to do anything. So I think I've got enough on my hands at the moment, and Johnny's busy, so we're both busy enough. I like my life to quieten down a bit, actually, not get any more intense than it is at the moment. I just want to concentrate on New Order now, really.
The records are out there. Potsy's started a new band called Brushed, which he's working with. So, I mean, the thing is, it's one of those things. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to feel at the end of New Order, whether I'd carry on doing something. But, yeah, I mean, I've got a few unfinished things as Monaco that I'd like to finish off. But it's funny because I've got a hankering for this one. I want to do it on my own for some strange reason. You tend to forget what you were so angry about. You know, it's like having an argument with your missus or something, like, you're really angry about it, then about three hours later you think, oh, why was I so angry? New Order just took a little bit longer than that, 8 years, and you thought, you just sort of dissipated, you know, things had got a lot better, we got rid of a lot of problems, factory had gone, you know, the hacienda had gone, so you're actually sort of, maybe the veil lifted and you realise what you did enjoy about being in New Order, which was the music. So it was quite a natural thing to think that, well, maybe we should get together. You know, see, time does heal, doesn't it?
I think, to be fair, that happens to most groups after being on the road together for a long time. In fact, every group I can think of end up hating each other to some greater or lesser extent. But apart from that, we had terrible business problems. Our second career with the Hacienda was vastly problematic, and factory was this great big ball of chaos that was going on at the time, you know, and we had all those external pressures as well as internal pressures, and just in the end you thought, well, ain't the best thing to do to solve all this, just stop. I guess at one point I did think that we'd never make another record. The group never split up, but we didn't make any plans at all, but all the horribleness just seemed to blow away in the winds of time. You know, just all the antagonism towards each other just seemed to disappear, really. So, I mean, New Order, we never planned much for the future. We've always sort of concentrated more or less in the past, more or less about a month ahead, maybe 2 months ahead, and that way. Life doesn't seem too much of a burden, and I was obviously sad about what had happened and regretted the way that it had gone, but it was truthfully inevitable what happened, that it was going to happen. It was going to happen. I regretted it, but there's nothing I could do about it, so I didn't beat myself up about it. But I'm glad we've got back together, because it's, you know, a much better way of ending things.
Now we're getting on really well. I must admit. I mean, it actually feels like when Bernard and I first met. Funnily enough, I've known him since I was 11. He's one of the oldest people I know. It's a funny kind of matedom, because it's not like, I mean, we both have friends outside, so you're not like best mates in the way that they're always together. You go, oh God, he's always with him. Bloody hell, if he's not playing with him in the group, he's down the pub with him. It's not like that. You know, you just, I mean, the thing is that, you know, New Order is a huge part of your life and has been for, and Joy Division for 25 years, as you say, and you spent enough time together.
You got to remember that we've probably spent more time with each other than we had with our families over the 18 or 20 years or something we've been together. We spent so much time together that we were just sick of the sight of each other and each other's problems and weird hang-ups, and we were focusing on that too much, and just wanted to get away from each other. But it's done us the world of good, you know. Life's very strange. Life doesn't turn out the way you expect it's going to turn out. I mean, I'm very surprised that we're together now making an album. If you'd have asked me that years ago, I would have said no way, absolutely no way. But it's happened, you know. I'm glad it's happened.
And lo and behold, when we did get back together again, it was like going home for Christmas. You're only there 10 minutes and you felt like you'd never been away.
Quiet anyway. You know, when Peter and Bernard articulate their feelings quite successfully, I find. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It don't upset me. Yeah.
Actually run into New Order again, we said, well, why don't we try doing some gigs, because we've been asked, and, you know, see if we still get on, which we did.
Yeah, well, that's where it started, wasn't it? When we started, when we did Ali Pali and Reading, and it was also great to do a gig where you didn't have to give all the money to the Hacienda.
Then the next step was, well, should we try writing some new stuff? Buff, and there you go.
When we started, I said, it's going to take us a month to write each song. And everyone's like, but you can't do that, it'll be still here in, you know. And it does. 15 songs, you know, it took a year and a half to do it. So we wrote for about a year at Steve's farm, which seems an awful lot of time, but that's what happens, and it's a good album. So you can't really, the writing stage, you just can't really push it, can you? You know, you can't rush it, because otherwise you end up writing songs that are not inspired, songs that have been, you know, forced out of you. So anyway, we wrote at Steve's farm, and then we moved to Real World Recording Studios, which is Peter Gabriel's studios down in Bath, which is a great studio.
It's almost like your third family in a way, because it's like going home when you go back there. They're all waiting for you. It's all the same people still working there, isn't it? It was really nice.
See, we used to record in London a lot, in the city, but we'd go out every night, and we can't take the hangovers anymore, can we?
We sort of have to be hidden away from our hedonism.
I think that we just needed to revitalise our sound after being away for so long. We couldn't come back and make another album that sounded like Republic, because times have changed and sounds have changed, and it was important for us to come out with a different sound, which I think we have done with this album. A lot more on the guitar and a lot less on the keyboard. And I guess because I'm a guitarist, some of that came from me, but that was through working with Johnny on, you know, and us both writing on guitars there. I could see how just it was quicker somehow, and you ended up with a kind of looseness. What if you're working with keyboards on a computer? Once it's printed, you tend to stick with what's printed and build everything up around it. But on a guitar, you can play it live, and if it's not quite right, you can change it slightly. So it keeps the music a bit more fluid writing on a guitar. And also, the energy's different when you write on a guitar.
I mean, the greatest thing that I heard was when the agent said, "My God, it sounds like a young band." Wow, yes! I feel guilty though. I see Bernard sat there in the studio, and I see Steve, you know, experimenting with drum sounds, and I'm thinking, oh God, I hope no one notices it's the same sound again from 1977. Sometimes I think I'm lucky in that I've been able to have the same sound for 25 years, and then other times I think I'm really unlucky, and sometimes I think it's a problem, and sometimes I think it isn't.
We've survived quite a lot of fashions, really. I mean, we came out of punk, and then there was what was after punk? New wave, new romantics, you know, new wave, power pop. What else? Come on, give me some.
Goths, yeah.
Ska revival.
Ska revival, yeah, I remember that.
Now we've gone through the electro pop, haven't we?
Baggy. You know, we just Britpop. We just always ignored it, really, because movements pull a lot of bands up on the coattail of a movement. A lot of new bands are good for new bands, but you know, when a movement dies, the group usually dies. So it's best thing avoided, really.
If you just turn the music down, we could embrace it a lot more. It's always too loud these days, isn't it?
Well, I think that we could embrace the club scene when we owned a club, and I think because we don't particularly go out of clubs anymore, and don't own a nightclub where we go every week and check out the sounds, that we can't embrace the club scene, because the club scene, the music within that scene is changing. It's got into so many different pigeonholes now, and it changes so frequently that you have to be going to clubs or a DJ. It's got so refined, the art of dance music, that I don't consider myself as an expert on it, and we'll leave that sort of thing up to the remixers, I think. With the technology now, you can do whatever you want. I think technology's finally come of age, and I mean, the technological aspect of making music used to be tied down to electronic keyboards, but now you can apply the technology to bass playing, drumming, guitars.
You still have to get something that's a good song. You can do umpteen things. I mean, people spend millions doing